And thank you for tuning in to Songwriter Sunday. Little bit of a change. I'm Chase Wardian.
I'm Ben Tufts.
And we both work here at Region Buzz 219. And today we're here with this brand new band on the scene. None of the members which I've ever met before. And can't really remember the band name, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I'm Tommy Fell. I play drums. We're Caught On Cline.
I'm Alex Akers, and I play trumpet and guitar and flugelhorn and sing.
I'm Nick J, play bass.
And you know who I am. I'm Nick Kazonis, for those of you that don't know.
All right, so how did this all start? Like, where did Caught On Cline start? Like, what did you guys want this to be?
So it kind of started with Nick and I a long time ago. We were in band together all the way in high school. How long ago was that? 2000? 99?
Early 2000s.
2000. That's kind of where it all started. Just like the passion for music started growing from there on. We ended up meeting. We knew Ray in high school. Mm-hmm. Just to talk about our
original drummer, Ray Vic. Shout out to Ray Vic.
Ray Vic. We were in drumline together with Ray, and then Nick was playing football at the time, so like we kind of had that little bit of a separation. But fast forwarding a little bit after high school, some years, Nick and I kind of stayed together in the scene, trying to do something with music, see what we can do. He was always like the visionary, though. Nick was always the one to just like, I got an idea, let's try this, and I'm his buddy, so I'm right there with him. And I think our first, that rock band, was that like 2000, that must have been like
2007 to 2010.
What was the name?
Something like
Discernment.
that. Discernment, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's my second guess.
And it was a long time ago.
That's my second guess.
So, and then, that was our, like, first real official thing. We started playing a bunch of gigs and stuff with them. And then, as we grew over the years, in and out of different projects.
Tommy and I graduated high school.
Yeah, I was 6. I was about 6 in 2000.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
I didn't even exist yet.
Oh my God!
I wouldn't exist for another 2 years.
I'm gonna go in the back and puke.
Wow. I was a few months old.
Crazy,
man.
crazy.
That's absurd.
Yeah, in and out of different projects after that rock band. And I had 2014, right?
14.
Yeah, summer of 2014.
We released in 14. Or no,
We released in
15. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 14. Yep.
That's when Nick met Alex through some kind of gig. I'll let them go into it because I'm not sure.
Yeah, we could transition over. Nick, so I moved to Hammond after graduating college and got the teaching job. And then I was playing bass in the pit of a musical at the high school. And my buddy and I met with Nick because we were hiring a guitar player for the pit. And Nick accepted the gig, so that's how I met Nick. There was a little spot of dead time in the pit, and Nick and I started jamming for like 60 seconds, and we were both like, oh, like we needed that. Like I really needed it. He probably was already playing, and I wasn't playing too much up here with anybody, so I needed it. And after that 30 seconds, it was just like, oh my God, what am I doing? I need to be playing. And so then Nick, about probably like 2 weeks later, invited me over to jam, and it was after school. I was really tired. I almost didn't go. Think about that for a second. I almost didn't go. And I went, and Nick and Ray were in Nick's living room playing the song that you now know as Funk Number 9, and I walked in with my trumpet, started playing, just with them without talking yet. So I had met Ray shortly before that, a week before that, but I hadn't even spoken to Nick J yet, so we started playing, and that song was born. And so I always like to brag because it's kind of a fun thing that Nick and I played music together before we even spoke to each other or formally met each other, yeah. Nick J. And that was 2014, and we decided we were going to be a band. And I should mention we had a keyboard player there also, Keith Murphy, and he was in the band for, about a month. He was in the band for a month. And so then, we threw out all these band names over 3 months or so and finally ended up with Caught On Cline. And we were born.
Who did it?
Whose fault is that?
I don't think
It's not me. I'm silenced over there.
Ain't me.
It must be me.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
Someone's calling me. I swear I put it on silent, guys.
Uh-huh.
So what were the names that got floated around prior to Caught On
Yeah.
Cline?
Yeah.
So,
I'm dying.
Prism was one.
oh yeah.
Prism?
Prism was
Prism,
one.
yeah,
P-Y-
that's right.
P-R-Y-S-M.
Oh.
Yeah,
Very
we were
cool.
we were edgy.
That's one of the Knicks coming through on that one.
No, yeah. I mean, I'll be completely honest because they're not. 98% of the names that both of them came up with, the majority were from Nick J, were incredibly inappropriate and vulgar. And it was
That
just like,
doesn't
okay, so
surprise
we're
me.
definitely not having that name. But
They
I
were
think he
more
needed to
than-
get all that out
But
to
you know
get
what?
to where we got.
Sometimes you gotta just throw everything you got at a
Yes.
wall and see what sticks. you know?
Absolutely,
Yeah, were you guys
absolutely.
just in traffic on Cline Avenue, or
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, every name he threw out was like funny and clever, but it was just like we're definitely not calling ourselves that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went through a couple of those.
Yeah.
Oh, every
But
band does.
I guess I'll go ahead and keep talking because, yes, the story is I was coming from rehearsal. Shut up, Tommy. This is about me. This is about me. Hang on. Let me straighten my jacket up. No, I was on my way to rehearsal from school, and there was when all that construction was on Klein Avenue like 6 years ago.
You mean like right now?
And right now. And right now.
Really bad.
Yeah. And I walked in and I said, sorry guys, I was caught on Cline. And I swear to you, Nick J goes, that's it!
That's it. That's the band name.
And we were all like, huh. And we let it kind of sit, and we realized that it kind of paid tribute to where we're from, you know, born in the region. And that's how it started, Caught On Cline. We searched it up, no one had the name or anything, and that's how it started.
I gotta add to that
Yes.
because Ray showed up like 5 minutes after you, and he said the exact same thing. And then that's when I was like,
That's
yep,
gotta be
that's
it.
it. You guys came in close together, and you
It's
both
that
said,
sign.
you
Yeah,
both said
it's like
Caught On
fate.
Cline. And then since then, it really did take on a lot of meaning.
Yeah.
You know, if you look up the word, just the Cline itself, it's an infinite, an infinite
Movement
slope.
into a
Whether it's
certain
up or down,
direction.
it's an infinite slope.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully
we're just taking it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you
which-
say you checked, like, do you Google Caught On Cline? And then
We
if nothing
did.
comes
Yeah,
up?
Yeah.
Like we looked up the copyright, looked up the website.
Okay,
and
that's what I'm looking for. I
Yeah,
thought it
the
was a simple
domain.
Google search, and then it's like, I don't get anything.
No,
We're
we
good.
looked up the domain name and everything. This guy knows what he's doing, so he.
Yeah,
he
it's
knew.
called Google.com. You type in Caught On Cline.
Wait, Yahoo isn't the superior right now?
Not anymore.
Ooh, I've been missing out.
Yeah.
Ask Jeeves was probably around at that point.
Oh man.
Nick probably used AOL. That's
I was like
I
4.
most definitely used AOL chat rooms.
Oh, we know.
All right, who
we know,
remembers
we know.
besides you two? Who remembers my AOL account?
Oh, I think I do. Was it Greek Man 51 at?
Nope.
No.
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 It's even better than that.
Oh, jeez.
Greek Creed lover.
No.
So, all the ladies out there, make sure you AIM me.
I was Trivium drummer 79. There's this band
Oh,
Trivium.
Trivium,
metal band.
yeah.
I was
Nice.
obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was-
Oh,
and then
we've
the
seen-
Steelers.
Yeah.
For some reason, I like the Steelers, and they won the Super Bowl in 1979. So I was like, all right.
I was
Trivium drummer
AK
79.
856
Oh,
Naturally.
wow.
because I wanted AK 19 because 19's my lucky number, but all the numbers were taken that I wanted, so I just typed in something random and it happened to be 856.
I didn't have an AOL because I'm a child.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was a good time.
The days of rushing home to get on AIM and talk to
Everybody you just seen in school.
everybody
5
you
minutes
just
before.
saw in school
It was
5 minutes
amazing.
before.
It
Yeah,
was- yeah, that was like,
hoping your
Whoa.
crush was on.
yeah.
You
I
know.
forgot about that feeling.
Yeah.
It's
Actually-
it's something that it's just like it was there for a while, and with the progression of technology, that there's like this certain nostalgia that just kind of like went away with it.
Well, right,
You
because
don't
now,
get
I mean,
anymore.
especially with like cell phones
Everybody's
and
got
stuff,
phones.
it's like
Yeah.
you just have that through Facebook Messenger or even texting now. It's just like that instead of going to a computer. I mean,
I mean, to be fair, you do still go home to talk to people you just saw 5 minutes ago.
oh, yeah. Or if you're irresponsible, you do it while you're driving. Don't do that. Don't
Right.
text.
We
and
do
drive.
not
Absolutely
condone
not.
texting and driving
No
here.
way.
So then, what happens next? It's like 2015. You're jamming.
So yeah, we spent.
we're talking about music.
Talking about music. Yeah, we should probably get back to it.
Back on track.
So yeah, we recorded. We began recording November 16th of 2014, and we finished our first album November 14th, 2 days shy of 1 year in 2015.
We released it, I thought.
Released it.
Yeah,
we were
released
done
it.
and released it.
Okay,
November 14th. So we were happy we got it done in a year because we really put a lot of time into it, and there was a lot of extra auxiliary percussion and vocal padding and things that we added to it. So it took us longer than we thought. And then after releasing that, we were just playing shows like crazy for like 3 years with Ray, and then that's why it took us so long to release our second album, which was in 2018. So it took us 3 years from the first release to release the second album, and then that's when transition started, and Ray moved to Atlanta in like end of 2018, beginning of 2019.
Beginning
like
of
November 2018.
Beginning of 2018, and then we had James. Shout out to James for a little bit, and then in October of 19,
Your boy.
we got the man, the myth, the legend, weighing in at 95 pounds.
Nice to meet me. So, yeah, I remember I was driving around in my truck at work, and Nick called me, and he's like, so we might need you to play a show. I'll get back to you. And I remember hanging up and immediately being like, yes. And so then like an hour later he calls, he's like, we for sure need you. And I was like, all right, dude, book it. And so then it was supposed to be a show maybe like a month from that day, let's say. And then we actually had a show at the Track, which was you, me, and someone dropped out on bass. So then Nick J came, and then Acre showed up. So that was actually our first gig. We did like a Caught On Cline pre-show.
But as Final Echoes.
Yeah, it made no sense. Made no sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and so then that was the first show. And then the actual like debut show was at Greg's place in Cherville, I want to say. And that was pretty legit. I think that was one of the first shows they had there too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
It was our first and our only show up to this point. Then because COVID was shortly after.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But then from there, yeah, COVID hit, and then the like new grind started, where it was like, all right, how good are you at playing at home by yourself? And do you know how to record? Which I did not. So I had to learn how to do that. And I still don't know how though. And then
And drums
Neither
are
do
the
I.
hardest.
yeah, I had no idea what I was doing.
That's for sure.
At all. And so yeah, but that, I mean, it was a learning process for sure. And then just kind of recently, I'd say like there were songs getting like put together during that. But I'd say within the last like 4 months, 5 months or so, we actually really started like, hankering down and putting them together. So that's where we're at now.
Gotcha.
So, Tommy, you and Nick played together before. How'd you two meet?
A jam night, maybe? I don't know.
It was a jam night.
Yeah,
Finnegan's?
was it Finnegan's?
First time I ever jammed with you was at Finnegan's by myself, but not with COC.
Yeah, because I remember my mom and my dad really liked Nick, and they were like, you got to play with Nick. And I was like, obviously I'd want to, because I was just some kid who thought I was good. I'd play in my basement, but I didn't go to jam nights. I didn't play live. I didn't know anyone. And so I just started doing my rounds, going to jam nights. And I remember kind of playing with Nick, and you asked me to be in the band, and then we went to
I asked you
Simple
to be in,
Greek,
yeah,
and Nick Kazonis band.
Nick Kazonis band, yep.
Yeah, and so then we had lunch at Simple Greek, and I remember we actually ran into Jackie, my girlfriend's family there. It was like
That
her,
was so
her
funny.
aunt, and it was Maddie and Jack, her cousins, but I couldn't remember Maddie's name. So I was just like, this is Jenny and Jack? And then she's like, my name's Maddie. And I remember I felt really bad about that. But so that's how I remember that whole lunch. And then from there, it was just like here and there shows with Nick Kazonis band, like me and you and Chris Lone, play at Finnegan's. We do
Off
kind of
Square.
did, yeah, off square.
Yeah, Off
We did
Square for a
charcuterie
while.
one time. We did a 4th of
Blues
July
Fest,
party.
4th of
Yeah.
July. We had a bunch of cool stuff.
So there was like a rapport there, it wasn't like totally new to us. And then, yeah, when you guys were looking for a drummer, we jammed at Finnegan's, I remember one night. And then I had the audition. And I remember prior to the audition, it was the night before. So I'd been practicing, I'd never studied or practiced that hard for anything in my life. And it was super daunting. And the night before my audition, I was like, maybe I'll take a look at the Instagram of the old drummer, Ray. And that was like the worst mistake I could have made. Yeah, because it immediately goes to like these ridiculous gospel chop drum solos and stuff. I'm like, I have no business replacing this guy. And so then at the audition, I tried to emulate Ray. As opposed to like playing my own thing, I tried to do what Ray did. Did not work out. And so, funny enough, I actually didn't make the audition. Like, we did it, but I didn't get the part. So that's when James got it, and then, you know, later on I got the call about it. So it just kind of worked out like what was meant to be kind of happened, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But,
Yeah, I think it was all meant to be. For,
Yeah, it all
for
happened.
everybody involved.
Exactly.
Because, you know, it was, Nick and I had agreed, like, this had nothing to do with either human. It was just a chops and a maturity thing, you know, and you know, Tommy came in, like he said, and James played really well and had more experience, and it worked out that way. And Tommy used that fuel.
Oh, yeah.
He was pissed.
Yeah, I was pissed about that.
And he used that fuel.
Pissed about the jam night not going my way. I remember I couldn't find the one on one song, and I was like, I'm not getting burned like that, like, ever again. And so from there, I practiced super hard. And I would go to every jam night I could. I played with everyone I could. And, yeah, I ended up in, like, the Jack Whittle band for a bit, playing blues. And then Nick Kazona's band. So there was always something going on. But then once I got here, then it was actually, like, you know, I was able to, like, kind of find my sound and actually start making music with them as opposed to just, like, cover bands and whatnot, you know?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's talk about this first song that you guys are going to play.
Yeah. So with Daydreamin', it's kind of... you started the music on this one, right?
Yeah, so I wrote the music to this. I had it all recorded on my computer, similar to other songs that we've had in the past, like Is What It Is, for example. Like, sometimes I have the whole draft in my computer, and I've kind of put together the bass and the guitar, and it's usually some type of drum loop to feed off of, because that's not my strength. But I had it all written out, and really liked the vibe, brought it to the guys, they enjoyed it, and then again, as with Is What It Is, Nick began writing the lyrics to it and put the lyrics to it, and it was just one of those good matches. We work really well in that capacity when it happens that way. And so at that point, it just kind of took on a little bit more meaning, because obviously when you paint it with lyrics, it gives it an idea and a concept. And so then we started talking about, you know, what type of music video we want to set this to, which will be coming out at a later date. And that's
Probably by the
basically,
end of the summer.
Yeah, by the end of the summer for sure. But that's basically it. It's just I kind of had a chill poppy progression, and then Nick threw some awesome lyrics to it. I think I already had. It wasn't called Daydreamin'. It was called, like, Strollin', is what it was called, because it had that kind of just walking feel to it.
Okay.
And so I think that's kind of what sparked Nick into going into that daydreaming feel, because when you're walking, typically your brain is going. You know, I imagine someone walking by themselves, just like pondering.
And that was like
Yeah.
part of the writing process, you know, like we all consciously were like, okay, when you're walking, like what's something that you think about? Like what's going through your head? Like what is that situation like when you're walking down a street thinking about it? And when I was writing it, I was thinking about, this one was in terms of like how I view it, you know, like in my situation, but I was trying to make it vague enough to where people would like be able to connect with it themselves.
Relatable.
You know, make it super relatable, not just like ultra personal.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, it was like, you know, I feel like I'm in this stagnant place in my life where I'm just like walking and just grinding. I'm just like working, grinding, and I'm just going down the same thing that I'm always going through, but I don't feel like I'm really pushing forward and taking a moment to really reflect on what's actually important and living in the moment. And that's kind of like what it was for me. But as I started like talking to the guys about the lyrics, it started to kind of morph into something different.
Gotcha.
So,
All right, well, let's go ahead and hear this song.
cool.
Songwriter Sunday, this is Daydreamin'. think I lost my way. Heels to the street, feeling the scene, I must say. Oh, but I think I'm caught in a stroll, never to be found in my lost world. Oh, I think I'm caught in a flood, never to be found in my lost world. Daydreaming. Taking in the morning sun to start this gorgeous day. Blinded by the light, feeling the scene, I must say. Oh, but I think I'm caught in a stroll, never to be found in my lost world. Oh, I think I'm caught in a flood, never to be found in my lost world. Daydreaming. Daydreaming. Daydreaming.
Alright, well that's a great song, guys. So, you know, you were just talking about lyrics. Nick, do you write most of the lyrics?
I would say that I write probably 70% of the lyrics.
A good chunk, yeah, I would agree.
But to be clear, anytime we write, it's always a communal effort.
Yeah.
Like I have like maybe the structure or the skeleton or maybe the rhyme scheme, like the rhythm of it, but I really ask the expertise of a drummer if I want to hear about
Right.
rhythm and phrasing, right? I want to know like where the bass is going to be moving. Is it going to be a more busy part? Is it going to be something simplified? So I typically like to have the music kind of first, but we actually have a couple new tunes where the lyrics were first.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, what can we do to this? And then we like came up with an idea.
Yeah.
Not to get too off track because I tend to do that 1,000 times, but
you do a lot of text painting.
yes.
He likes musical cues for like to be connected with the lyrics.
Yeah, a
So-
lot of that.
So, like, you know, lyrically, like, do you come up with a concept and then everybody gets together and kind of hashes out how they want to tell that story? Is that kind of how it goes?
Mostly, I try to be super conscious of this. Sometimes I'm not, but I try to be super conscious to say like, Nick J, what does this song mean to you?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, you do. Yeah, unless you already have, because sometimes like everything just comes out in a second. Like, oh, bam, I got it.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the times you'll kind of like throw a topic at us and then ask us what our thoughts are on it, and then you use all that information to kind of like build it into the song.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I would say I try to ask like what it means to you guys, and then I like brainstorm the words. Like I'll be like, just give me 20 seconds, give me as many words as you can to describe what this song means. And so then I just write all those words out, like from Nick, and then Tommy, then Alex, then me, and I try to like think of it almost cinematically.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, like what would this look like? Like, okay, what are we thinking? Like, almost as if I'm seeing the music video in my head, but I'm trying to create it just as the song. Like, try to create the visuals, but it's just in the song.
Right.
Right, yeah.
So, when you have that idea in your head, are you trying to put that, like, figure out how to phrase it, like when you have this idea, do you want everybody to like have that vision that you have, or are you wanting everybody to have their own interpretation of it? Like, do you make it very clear?
Depends on the song.
Okay.
Depends on the song.
Yeah, I think for this, something I want to point out that song is on our new album. That'll be the only one today that we play from our new album. So, like, now that we're on that topic, I think that this album is, if you were to describe it in comparison to our other music, it's very straightforward, a little poppier than some of our other world fusion jazz type of compositions. So, yeah, with this album, I think that it's one that it's singer-songwriter based with concepts that people can relate to, but the more you listen to it, it does have layers to it. So, like, you can relate to it on different levels. But there is a base level that I think most people can relate to, just because, let's face it, we're in, like, a challenging time in the world. I mean, in many places, but sure. I think it's safe to say there are a lot of things happening right now, and that's it does kind of touch on a lot of those types of things.
So, with this album, from what I've noticed, it came a lot during, obviously, COVID and everything. Mm-hmm. Did any of that help with the album, make it harder to write?
I would say harder for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, because you couldn't be with each other, you know? Like, I remember at one point when we first started, we would try, like, it didn't last long, but we tried to do, like, live time jamming via Zoom, and there's like 2-second lags, and you can't do anything. Rehearsal was like, it wasn't even rehearsal, because you'd be talking about it, but you're not like in the same room. You're like sending ideas. I mean, I guess at a certain level of musicianship, once you're like extremely professional, you can be like Corey Wong and send a guitar bit to like whoever, and then they send back an idea, and you can do it that way, but I didn't like that. I'm not there. Like, I like being in the room with people when you're making the music.
We did it.
I mean, later on, yeah.
We did it to formulate the skeletons of songs, but I think the fact that, wouldn't you agree to this, the fact that we only started writing come, like, December, and you were only the band for 2 months at that point.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit in March, and then here we are, like...
It was good to get ideas, but, like, it was hard to fine-tune and polish stuff when you're not together.
I also think because like we didn't have a workflow. It was a whole new workflow. We were trying to figure out technology, like all these
there's no routine.
Adversities. There's nothing to fall back on, and so it's just like hard to maintain understanding new technology and how this is going on, and understanding that like you have to be in your home for like 12 weeks. And it was a whole different experience for everybody. But from a musician standpoint, it like really hindered, like, to a certain extent, I would say hindered the growth. But I think it also gave us strength to know that we can like really persevere.
Yeah. I mean, in that 2 months that Tommy had been in the band before COVID, we really had worked up the live show because we had a ton of gigs. So that's what was really being strengthened. And then when COVID hit, I think it's something important is that it's not that Tommy's inexperienced, that it was that he didn't have a comfortable environment to record his drums with what we were sending over. Like, I'm sure the balance was challenging, the room that he was playing in was challenging, and he didn't have an E-kit, so he was recording acoustic drums. And so there were so many challenges for him in addition to being fresh to the composition process.
Yeah, no, I was, when I first met Tommy, well, actually, should say, when I heard Tommy play on drums for the first time, I thought it was weird. I was expecting the potato salad bucket and everything, because right before COVID, you guys had that Caught On Cline picnic, and I have a video of it still, and I might throw that in here.
Do it.
Yeah. But, I remember you all sat down, and then Tommy's like, I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to grab this, and they just started jamming out on all these random, like, Tupperware containers. It was great.
Tater Tommy.
Yeah.
Tater Tom.
Tater Tom.
Tater Tom. Yeah, that was our event where we had tie-dyeing for
Yep.
all of our fans coming to tie-dye Caught On Cline shirts.
We're hoping this
And
year
we had an
we can
acoustic
do
jam.
it. We're
Yeah.
really hoping that we can
Yeah.
do it this year.
No reason why not. Get vaccinated. We'll do
Right.
it.
I was gonna say, especially because I was at the first 2 album releases selling merch, and that's when I met you guys. Not gonna get into how I met you because we'll be here for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, no, I can't wait. Hopefully, we can have a full album release party like the
Oh, we
others
will.
were, because those were so much fun.
I've never
Yeah.
experienced one of those.
No?
No.
That's my favorite
Oh.
thing about making an
I didn't
album.
work for Nick in 2018, I don't think.
Oh, but I was in like, what was it? You said 2014 the first album came out? Or
First album was
2015.
2015, yeah,
Yeah.
So it was my freshman year of high school when
Yep.
Yeah.
I came and did that, because we were both taking lessons at that time still, right? I don't know when you...
Was I still taking
Not with
lessons
me.
from Nick?
No.
I wasn't.
Not with me.
No.
Okay.
You were taking. You were still taking.
I was
you
with
took.
Joe,
You
yeah.
were taking with Joe, because
Yeah.
Marsnick?
No,
No,
Villani.
Villani.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2015 first album, 2018 second album,
Gotcha.
2021 third
New
album. It
record,
won't be
yeah.
three more years for our next album, but something else I just want to point out is that the reason why this album is so incredibly important to us is because of this guy. Like, this is our first original album with Tommy.
Thank you.
You know, so we're excited to get out and start playing
that
those.
necessary?
Yeah. No, we're excited to get out and play this music because I will be honest, I sometimes forget like how new this is to Tommy. You know, it's like I think a lot of people would agree. Like, COVID hit, and it's almost as if a year just kind of disappeared. Like, it was good in many ways for people to be home with their families and hopefully grow closer. Also very challenging. So it's like everything kind of halted, and now we have an album to release. So it's like, I told him this is going to be a huge summer for him in his own personal growth, because I was the baby in the band when I first joined, and I grew exponentially, and I just had no idea what was actually going to come of that. I didn't think, I'll be honest, when we had our first jam in your living room, I was kind of Nick J had just gotten back on bass after a 2-year hiatus, so he was coming in pretty cold. And it wasn't like we were bad, it was just like, okay, this is pretty cool. Just seems kind of just like it'll just be a fun side thing. And then, of course, with the growth, I was blown away by where we were able to take it. And so I told him I can personally relate to how that is, being the youngest in the band, being the newest in the band, coming in and growing together. And I know that this summer Tommy's going to be growing a lot and seeing that. You know, I'm really excited for that, because you don't know what it is until it happens. And I'm excited
Yeah.
for you to get to that
Same.
level with
So
us.
am I.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say your sound has stayed the same, but over the years it's just grown so much. And then being able, with both of us being here,
Yeah.
you guys coming in Saturdays to rehearse and recording, and we've been a part of this album so much with recording and everything that it's been
Yeah.
amazing to see
Yeah,
the
it's
whole
been really
process
great.
and hearing all the songs before everybody else.
They're all great songs. So
Yeah, they are
watch
all
for the
great
record.
songs,
They're all
so.
amazing songs. I love all of them. And that kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about. You know, like, you guys very much have the Caught On Cline sound, but each record kind of has, like, its own vibe. Like, do you think that reflects, like, where you are musically at the time, like what you're listening to, what you want to play at the time? Like,
I mean, it might have something to do with it, but ultimately, I think it's more about what you're going through personally in life. You know, even if it's not music, whether you take your inspiration from movies or TV, video games, what have you. Those are all just little pieces to a much larger puzzle, which is, you know, what's going on inside of you at that moment. When you show up here on a Saturday and Nick's like, I got this new idea. Okay, that's the moment right there where you gotta pick what's happening in your head, in your body at that moment. So it's not really like a predetermined thing. You never have a plan. It's just
Just going with the flow.
you just go with the flow.
Songs
You
are
know,
just kinda
it's a daily learning experience, and every day that you're in it, you just keep growing and growing and growing, and keep your focus. You know, stay the course. Don't get too upset at yourself. I have a problem with that sometimes. You know, we all We all kind of fumble sometimes,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
you know, as long as you take those moments and you learn, and then you keep it in you, and you can pull it out when you need it for the future.
There is some sort of like intention to it though. Like it's not necessarily like we knew we were going for like an R&B album. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like there's
For
intention
this album.
behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
exactly.
this album.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yes.
intentions, you know. So like although like it's not necessarily what you're listening to, like maybe I'm obsessed with funk at the moment. But that's not necessarily going to influence the way we're playing because there's like an intent, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, that's kind of why our first two albums are so diverse. There is not a lane on our first two albums. I mean, you can't label it. You can label it with several different genres.
Yeah,
because
I was
that's
gonna-
what it is.
That's what I was gonna ask. 'Cause I was
Yeah.
like, I don't think I've ever been able to label it.
Right.
It's
Call it
like,
World Fusion.
Yeah, it's
There you
a
go.
combination of several things, as with most music these days. But I think it's important to remember that it definitely, we were not trying to sound like anyone else for the first two albums, and we're not right now either. It's us, but the first two albums are very much just a combination of what we all had to bring to the table, and that's why it just sounds kind of like, what is this? I mean, like people are kind of like, oh, this is interesting. You know, you've got a little Greek style, a little of Ray's hip hop element, a little bit of the trumpet, and it's not really straight ahead jazz. It's more just
Nick's love
kind
for
of
Creed.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Yes, I can see so much Creed influence in Caught On.
Yeah.
It shines
Yeah.
through.
Caught on Creed, if you will.
Yeah, Caught On Cline. But this album, though, in comparison to the first two albums, is definitely the most genre-specific album because we did go into it, like Tommy said, wanting to create a poppy R&B style album. So,
Cool.
yeah, that's what you'll find with this.
So yeah, I mean, we can work reverse. I would say, you know, like this next song we're playing, Sweet Pea, you know, I felt like Nick was a fairly new dad, you know, and I was like, we should write a song for your kids, you know, like something that can be emulated in that, you know. How can we say, what can we say to them? What would you say? Because you've never been a lyric guy. Never been a lyric
Still
guy.
not. I never will be.
He's never been like the main songwriter for lyrics.
Nope.
So I was like, what is it that you want to tell your kids? So I tried to really hone in on that. I'm not a father.
You wrote it
know.
in the perspective of Nick.
Yeah. I absolutely tried to write it as if I were Nick.
Nick J.
Nick
Not
as
Nick
Nick.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk about yourself in the third person.
Oh, that would be weird.
Yeah. What is
But-
Nick like?
Super pretentious musicianship. Like, I want to be Nick. How does Nick feel?
But that was like really what it was for me. It was just like trying to fit that mold of what Nick would say, you know. To his
It
kids.
landed too. I think you captured it pretty well.
I think we both know each other so well that you could just do that.
Yeah.
All right, well, very cool. Well, I like that transition since Nick just kind of took that from me. But he's so used to
You're
doing
welcome.
these interviews that it didn't really
I didn't even realize I did it.
didn't really
Sorry for the
surprise me. But
convenience.
let's go ahead and hear Sweet Pea.
1, 2, 3. my sweet pea.
Let's step outside, go for a
You're my
ride.
sweet
Some ice
pea.
cream or a slice
You're
of
my
pie.
sweet pea.
Let's dance until the
You're
moon
my
rises.
sweet
Stay up
pea.
until the sun shines bright.
One day you'll grow and pass on the lessons. Day to day, counting those blessings. My care and support them by your side. Every kid in love, I'm there for the ride. The times we share will be in the best. Life's memories will grow so fast. Days of nothing come and go. Always remember what's true for the soul, 'cause you're my sweet pea.
Let's step outside, go for
You're
a
my
ride.
sweet
Some ice
pea.
cream or a slice
You're
of
my
pie.
sweet pea.
Let's dance until the moon
You're my
rises.
sweet
Stay up
pea.
until the sun
You're
shines
my
bright.
sweet pea.
Memories we can't
You're
forget.
my sweet
Never
pea.
ever settle
You're
for
my
less.
sweet pea.
We want to see you do your
You're my
best.
sweet
More
pea.
smiles that can relieve
You're
your
my
stress.
sweet pea.
All right, great song. Always love when you guys play that. Let's talk a little more about that because there's so much behind that. So you said you wrote it, thing about Nick becoming a father recently. Was there anything else behind it, or was that like the center focus? Because I feel like it's been taken in so many different directions by everyone that's listened to it.
Most people listen and think it's a love song.
Okay.
And I kind of wrote it pretty direct, but I kept the hook simple enough to where people won't listen to the verse and actually just listen to the hook because people are humans. And I was like, you're my sweet pea.
Right.
Yeah, because at one point it does say like "love from a mother." So I mean, if it was a love song, it'd be like, that's kind of.
Right?
Okay.
Like, but
Yeah. If you ignore the verses, I could see that. But if you listen to the verse, it's pretty
most
clearly.
people don't necessarily always listen to the
I don't.
verse.
So
Yeah, most people.
I'm gonna be honest.
Nick's like, I don't even know what I'm telling my kids.
A lot of people
I like
don't
'em.
listen to the lyrics at all. I of course listen to the lyrics, but I'll be honest, like from a standpoint of when I was a kid all the way through becoming a musician, I've always geared towards the instrumental parts of music. I mean, I have to kind of stop and go back and re-examine if I'm interested in seeing what it's really about, if I'm not paying close attention.
Always.
And that's just like, and there are two types. Like people straight up listen to only the lyrics too. Like there are people that really relate to just the lyrics and don't really hear the instrumental part. I think it goes both ways, but yeah, like the first line is "This form of love has been around forever," so like it could go either way. But yeah, something important is that Nick did pretty much write the entire song. He wrote the chord progression, the lyrics, had the form and everything, and then we figured out. The
hits were your idea.
The hits, I wrote the hits. Nick J came up with his bass line. Ray came up with the drum part because Ray was super adamant about co-creating music. He wanted to sit in the same room and write everything together. And Nick and I, that was an adjustment for us because
Big
we
time.
were used to coming at it from like the perspective of what's his face from Snarky.
Corey Henry.
No, not Corey, but the bass player,
bassist?
Michael League. He writes the majority of their music, and so we have that full concept in our brains sometimes of what the song should be like. So that was an adjustment for us. But again, like I said earlier, we got to levels I had no idea where we were going to get to, and it was a product of that, creating it together.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's kind of how the song came together.
When I wrote for the music nerds out there, I like the song. is A minor and A major at the same time. So I wrote it, the melody and everything to do it that kind of way. So it's like meant to be like happy, then kind of sad, happy, then kind of sad musically, to create this super interesting kind of,
Like a call and response almost.
not even a call and response, but it was meant to be like,
The dichotomy of
Yeah.
the relationship.
it was like, yes, it was like this, So I tried to write the lyrics kind of, I didn't necessarily reflect it to my personal liking. Like I would give myself like probably a C- on that kind of topic, but that's how I went into it when I was writing the lyrics, was I wanted it to be reflective of the chordal structure. There's the major, really happy, blah, 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 and then there's the minor, like
The challenges.
the challenges and like the things that, like, days of past dissolve to nothing is one of the lines. So I wanted it to be like this kind of thing where this happened in the past, but eventually it's going to become nothing unless you hold on to the memory and you remember the things that I've taught you, or the people that love you have taught you.
Sure.
And another super important point, didn't Ray write the background vocals that I sing?
Yes,
Ray wrote the lyrics.
He wanted something in the hook as the
response.
background, a response. He wanted to
Yeah.
call a response. Yeah.
So Nick would sing like, you're my sweet pea, or along those lines of what he says before that part. And Ray wrote a 4-line lyric, and then at the end, it's a double chorus, so he wrote 8 different lines. But it's like, let's step outside, go for a ride, some ice cream or a slice of pie. Let's dance until the moon arrives, stay up until the sun shines bright. And so that's that response part that I'm singing with Nick. And we don't have any other songs that are very like lyrically like kind of back and forth like that. So it's kind of, sometimes you can't tell what I'm saying because it is a lot of syllables. But yeah, that's an important point part to point out.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So we can start moving into the other song, Gypsy Eyes, but right before we do that, how did Bouzouki get introduced? Because that is a big part of that song.
Are you good?
Yeah.
No, I just picked up on Bouzouki while I was visiting Greece on a summer vacation.
That's what I figured. Short vacation. I like this guitar.
See, Tommy's Greek, and he told me in a dream before the band even started, when he was in 4th grade, that I should pick up Bouzouki so that he could become part of the band and be
And
the
do what I
drummer.
can.
Yeah. It was one of those astral projection things.
Tommy actually projected.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted, the whole point of unity and diversity. Our second album, and what Caught On Cline, self-titled Caught On Cline was it was this culmination of explosion of ideas from all our influences, from the original culmination of the band, Ray, Alex, Nick, and myself, with shout out to Keith Murphy, who was our original vocalist on Gypsy Eyes,
And keyboard player.
Yeah.
Keyboard,
Yeah.
huh?
But I wanted something. I've always had this, like, from as long as I could remember, I always wanted to influence world music with like R&B, funk, soul, rock. Like, how do you do that? Rock was kind of easy, but like R&B was like this, like, I don't know how to do it. I really don't know how to do it. So I thought, okay, what are strengths of R&B? And you can kind of talk about this as like the harmonies, right?
Yeah,
Like-
that's like one of the like really cool parts about Caught On Cline when we first started is we keep talking about all these different styles, and Ray and I had way more in common musically. I have a lot of hip hop bass background and kind of R&B style guitar playing that I was really interested in getting better at. And so our core was there, and then Nick and Nick had the world core really locked down internally because of, just culturally, it's just part of who they are. And so they brought that strong world element. And I should mention Keith at the time was also had the perfect smooth R&B voice.
Yeah.
So he had that. And so those elements came together. And the cool thing too is Nick, I think he gained a lot of strength from the compositions that were world, because when you hear Nick play world bass, it's like he's right in his lane. Like it's amazing. And then when you hear Ray and I playing like kind of R&B rap style music together, it really worked well. And so when those all 4 of us or 5 of us at the time came together, it was this really weird blend, but it worked.
And the song has evolved from its original culmination with the original lineup to then going down to a 4-piece, to then Ray, moving to Atlanta, James coming in, and then James, after James we got Tommy. It's like, it's still the same, how do I explain this? It's like the same
Pocket,
but there's just slight articulation differences in
for sure.
In all the players. And I think that, I've always wanted to ask you this, now that I'm going to interview just for a moment.
Sure.
What is it like hearing something that someone else has written for our music?
I'm glad you asked. So, for example, on Sweet Pea, I know we're talking Gypsy Eyes, but that one honestly kind of writes itself because that's a very specific style, bop, bop, bop. You can't really. There's only one way to interpret that one, really, And then Sweet Pea, that one, there's a lot of wiggle room on, because I like to do 16th notes on the hi-hat and kind of follow the bass. I noticed James used to kind of just go straight with it, and then Ray is super on the hits. It doesn't, for me, he's not like a He's always on the hits with the bass and doesn't mind getting choppy with it. So if you try to find a middle ground there, it can get interesting. But I always think the best thing to do is just kind of not think about it and just play whatever you're feeling while you hear it.
Gotcha.
And that may subconsciously be kind of affected by what you've heard other people write on it. But I like to think it's just me.
Sure.
Yeah. Gypsy Eyes has a very Latin percussion drum element, and then you've got the bouzouki, which brings in that Greek and world element. And I don't know, I definitely want to hear how you guys would describe it, because that's your lane. How do you approach the bass line when you first heard? Because I should point out real quick that Nick and Keith wrote Gypsy Eyes.
Okay.
They were the ones that sat down together and wrote that tune.
We sat down, we wrote the harmony, the chords, the basic chord structure, and then I was like, I want to take this rhythm. And he was like, oh, I'm going to need a minute to write to that, because he's never done that.
So, and this is just, growing up in a Macedonian household and community, we always have these events that we go to every weekend, these dances, where there'd be a band playing a Macedonian band, and everybody's dancing, and that dance to that music we call it oro, O-R-O. So now the music is, you're not thinking about the music, lyrics aside, you're not really thinking about the music, you're thinking about the people dancing. Okay, so how can we get everybody involved? So the rhythms are really about the dance, about the oro, because you have different styles of oro, which would change the type of music, and it's very similar to Greek. That's why you have all these different Greek rhythms, but each rhythm has its own dance. Okay. And that's really where it all starts.
Yeah, it's like for them it's shifteteli, and then for Greeks it's sifteteli, otherwise known in English as a belly dance. Mm-hmm. But we do it we actually dance it as a belly dance, where they actually do it as a circle dance.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
So it's based on the rhythm, and the way that it's translated through oral tradition is typically the songs are folklore. It's the songs lyrically are meant to teach a sheep herder how to herd sheep. Okay, there's songs put the goats
I'm just thinking
it's
about
funny to think about the lyrics, but it's literally
Put the goats where?
Put the goats in their pen. It tells you how to put the goats in their pen.
What time? The time.
And we're snapping off to this stuff,
This slap.
Just
throw it down.
Put that goat away.
It's hilarious. It's one of those things that I can explain it to him.
Play the goat song.
It makes when you say it in English, it just sounds ridiculous.
Wait, so let me ask, if there were specific goat herders in this circle at this village party, would they be lit when you play the goat herder song?
Or would they be like, that is not how you herd goats? Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's just, the livestock part of it. But then, like, you get into the weddings. And so now you have different songs for different members of the wedding, right? So you have, like, the Godfathers, everybody has their own song.
Okay.
So once they start playing that song, that's the person leading the dance.
Okay.
Yep. And then there's in Greece, and I know for a fact that in Macedonia as well, there's regional dances and regional songs.
Yes.
So like, just like America, you have like down south is more country, right? Up north is more blues or whatever. From a traditional standpoint, you have like my family are islanders. So island music is typically, there's like very specific sounds to it. And instrumentation is a big thing. Like for islanders, it's typically violin, or we call it sambuna, but it's like a goat gut bagpipe, basically.
Okay.
Comes back to the goat.
Yeah.
But if you're like from the mainland, clarinet all the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like clarinet.
My people are from the mountains. It's clarinet and drums. Saxophone's huge.
Yeah.
Saxophone's huge.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's fun for me and probably for Tommy because we don't have that background, and so that's why I asked, because I remember talking about some of that stuff in the past, and some of that was very new knowledge to me. But again, you can feel and hear it in their playing, especially Nick on the bass part. And you just don't know.
Them
that,
roots are deep.
That, that those roots are deep.
All that odd time stuff
Yeah.
that we do, even when we mess around and we're doing like some 11, 16, just weird. All that stuff is more natural to I feel like to us than just a standard.
Because we don't. When we were taught it in dance groups.
Yeah.
I don't know how they explained it to you. They never explained it to me like 1, 2, 3.
No, it was never a time.
It was never
always
1,
a
2,
feel.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And
It was long, short, long, because it correlates with the steps of the dance.
Yeah, exactly. Going
It's
back to
it's more of a natural thing. It's kind of like the sound before symbol approach that I take teaching young musicians. Like, no, this is how it's supposed to sound, and then you introduce what the notation would look like. So if you were trying to write this stuff, maybe from a Western standpoint, okay, we take this feel, and this is what it's translated to time signature-wise or what have you.
Yeah. It's the dance. The dance governs the music.
So with that said, remember, we are going to create a New World album. It's already being written right now.
I can't wait for Tommy to put his.
Just like to kind of secretly, not secretly, plug that. Let them know.
Totally
Did you
secret
hear
to
that?
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hear Gypsy Eyes.
Cool.
Across the seas, oh, the way she walked through me. Now I hope to find in my lifetime a girl like her, what she did to me. The way she walked out the door, leaving me wanting more, standing right on that shore, and I never been more sure. I know I got to find, I really hope to find my gypsy eyes. Oh, my gypsy eyes. Sapeva voglio bene, che diamo in scena, when let's the Maggio Gama. Sapeva voglio bene, che diamo in scena, when let's the Maggio Gama. Here it goes again. Like a long lost friend, she stole my heart. Now we're miles apart, and like a breeze from a movie scene, stuck on replay. Oh, I want her to
out the door, leaving me wanting more. Standing right at the shore, and I never been more sure. I know I got to find, I really hope to find
my gypsy eyes. Se bello monoio mena, che perdiamo in escena. Let's just my yoga. Se bello monoio mena, che perdiamo in escena. Let's just my yoga. Se bello monoio mena, I cardiamo in escena. Vuoi che la sesta maggiogama. Se bello monoio mena, I cardiamo in escena. Vuoi che la sesta maggiogama.
All right, so that's a great song. I always love listening to that one. Nick, what's the translation on those lyrics?
Se θέλω μόνο για μένα, I want you all to myself. Η καρδιά μου είναι για σένα means my heart is all yours. Μου έκλεψες με τα μάτια is like you stole me with your eyes, and then Ochaman is like ah boy.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah. So,
We've all been there.
you know,
Been to the mountain region.
Yeah. Goat talk.
Alright, so overall, where can we find you? Where can't we find you if that's a shorter list? Because you guys are everywhere.
You cannot find us on Bumble.
Okay.
You cannot find us on Tinder.
But Grindr?
But you can find us on... I don't even know what that is.
we'll circle back.
So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and CaughtOnCline.com. And then anywhere you find digital music, Spotify,
Apple Music,
Apple
Google
Music.
Play,
Did we say YouTube?
we did.
YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah, there are a
Everything
lot
Caught
of
On
extra.
Cline.
Yeah, and CaughtOnCline.com has 20 unreleased singles / covers. A lot of them are original, a lot of them are covers, obviously.
Some beats.
Beats, compositions, experimental stuff. There's all sorts of bonus content on the website.
Yes.
Very cool.
So go check out the website.
So
And
go to the
the YouTube
website
channel.
and sign up for our subscriber list for our newsletter and our email list, so we have your email to let you know all the new things. Sign up on the email. I'm going to say it one more time. Sign up on the email.
We will never send you garbage. We will never do anything with emails other than let you know some important stuff coming up.
Yeah,
Yes.
shows.
They sell your
It's not a
information.
spam
Yeah,
email.
it's not.
They will not sell your information as far
No,
as
we
we
will
know.
not.
I cannot guarantee that.
Yeah.
All right, I have one last question I want to ask. What's your favorite song from each album?
It's funny because we played
Each of
one
us?
from each.
Yeah, each of you.
Yeah, we played one from each today just to point that out. That's kind of cool. We did it in the reverse. We played one from the new one and then one from the second, and then Gypsy Eyes was from the first album.
I'm not going first.
Yeah,
All right, I'll
it's-
take it. Okay, so I don't know. Sea Love's pretty good. I really like that. But then Unity is my favorite song in general by far, right?
Okay.
And then off the new one, I'll probably go. Oh, I'll do How Do I Know, or If You Love Me. Parentheses. There's some parentheses in
Okay,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't think. Has anyone heard that one
no
yet?
one's heard that.
No
Those
one's
are
heard
my,
that
one.
those
That's
are my
what
tree
you
right
play
there.
Live?
We have.
Yeah. Okay, so I was gonna say from the first album was definitely gonna be Sea of Love, just because when I spoke earlier about kind of reaching new levels and doing new things, that brought more out of me from a horn player standpoint. I also loved Is What It Is, just because that's just a fun one. Second album, I probably would. I'm the happiest with Existing Love and how it turned out, because there was a lot of extra production on like the horn side. Like I wrote horn lines, and that was kind of my baby for a long time before it even surfaced and became a song of ours. And then on our latest album, I Got Your Love is really a banger that Nick wrote, and I just like what that's become and how that's developed.
It's a good call.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I gotta say, All the World stuff is my favorite, just because of the way it flows, the way we play it, and then when we play it live, how we tie it all together. And we
Asked for one song per album, Nick.
well,
You're
I
just
can't-
describing all the
I
music.
can't do it.
Why is he always
Just
gonna
gonna say every song in this genre.
Gypsy Eyes,
Feta
All right.
Queso.
Feta Queso,
Saint Helen.
Occasionally, because I'll forget that it's on the album, but Feta Pesto, don't forget about that song.
Feta
It's like a nice
Pesto.
interlude.
Feta Pesto is there's magic in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all the world stuff that we have is my favorite.
I like all the ones that Acre sings.
Why? 'Cause you
Cop out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
All right. So first album for me is Feta Queso.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
It's Feta Queso.
There's something special there, you know.
Yeah.
It's very thematic.
Second one's really hard because I like them all for very different reasons. But the one that has the most sentimental is St. Helen.
Yeah.
Because I wrote that about my grandmother when she passed. So that one is actually just because I think it's a cool thing to talk about. I wrote that drum section specifically so that in my head, St. Helen was my grandmother, and it was about, she was a dancer, but when Parkinson's, the last many years of her life, she obviously couldn't dance, she couldn't walk, she couldn't move, she couldn't eat, she couldn't do all those things. So having her, in my mind, move to the next dimension of heaven, I imagined her dancing, and when I thought of St. Helen, the end drum solo was her ascending into heaven and doing her final dance. So that was kind of like what it was. So there's something to think about when you're soloing on that. No pressure.
No pressure, Tom.
I should.
Man.
And a little added bonus with St. Helen, that's the only track I'm actually playing Tarabuka on. That was a lot of fun to do.
Yep.
Tarabuka is this little hand drum.
It's in English they call it a darbuka.
Oh, yeah, that.
Gotcha.
And then on the new album,
Oh, it's a drum roll.
I'm excited to hear this, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't
So anticlimactic.
This guy.
answer it.
You'll just have to listen to the whole album.
I didn't
Pick
even
one,
mention
you'll have
Yeah.
to pick one for yourself.
Listen to the whole
We'll
record.
circle back after it comes
I didn't
out.
even mention a new album, but I'm with you, Tommy, man. If you love me, or whatever we name it.
It's a parentheses song.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I know which one it is for me. It's I Got Your Love.
Okay.
And the reason I really like that one is because it's pretty just there. It's very direct, and this is who we are, and this is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And I even, in the lyrics, shouted out Tommy on drums because I wanted it to be known that Tommy is the drummer. And that's what it is. So on the interview, I'm saying it to the camera right now, Tommy is the drummer.
Word.
And it's going to be in the lyrics on the very first song of the album so that you guys know who's on drums.
Who's on drums?
Me,
Thomas.
I believe.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's important to just point out that, like, again, so much of our music is just kind of all over the place. So, like, it was really special for us to sit in one lane
Yes.
for that song. Yeah.
That's something that we really wanted to do for the fans too, because a lot of the feedback that we got was like, people would like one or two songs off the album, and nobody's gonna like every song on any album, no, it's just it's not the way it works. But
Or have the whole album's not going to be their favorite, right?
Yeah,
like they have their
exactly,
favorites.
The
exactly.
Cars' first album is
So
essentially a
that's
greatest hit album.
a little bit of the reasoning why we're kind of honing in on genre specific albums now is just to give the fans, give the fans what they want, right?
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, you want more of the R&B stuff? Well, you got a whole album worth of
There you
R&B
go.
stuff. You want more of the world stuff? You're going to have a whole album of
I'm
just
most
R&B
excited
stuff.
about that.
You liked some of the meditation stuff we did on our last album. We're gonna have a meditation album
And then
to help
funk.
you study, and then we're gonna have a funk, and then we're gonna have a jam band, and then we're gonna have a kazoo band,
And then we're gonna have a metal band, right?
and then we're gonna have.
Oh my
we
God, I
are gonna
cannot
have
wait for
experimental
Reese's
metal
Pieces.
happening.
Reese's
Is the name of that.
Reese's Pieces.
We could have talked about that, but we are out of time. Unfortunately. So thank you everyone for tuning in to Songwriter Sunday. Thank you guys for coming in and doing this.
Thank you.
Make sure to check Caught On Cline out on all their social medias, their website, especially now that we're on the road to Region Stock. Might as well plug that. Now that we're getting close, that's approaching, and all the other live dates that they are performing. Thank you, Ben, for last minute jumping in on this interview. It's been a great one. We'll see you all next week. Take care.
Thank you.
Peace.